John here with the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Today I did a Skype conversation with Stephen Yu, who's a regular writer for Target Marketing Magazine and has his own consulting firm and started iBehavior and just some great insights into attribution, but more than that, into company politics and confirmation bias and self-fulfilling prophecies and how do you deal with all that. And it's a little longer than our usual 10 minutes, but I hope you'll hang with it because I think you'll find it fascinating. So like and share and enjoy. Bye-bye.
That they're so immersed in this marketer's journey. Now, what do marketers do? They want to acquire, find, they want to manage channels, they want to cultivate relationships. That's their timeline. And if somebody, wins away, then you got to bring them back. That's marketer's cycle. But the buyer cycle is very different. When I am shopping for something, let's say I'm shopping for shoes. Great, I'm sure shoes are worn out, I'm interested in shoes. What do? I Google them. Or I may respond to some email. I may have saved that email thinking, yeah, you know what, my shoes are almost worn out, so I'll just save this email. And you may do all these things. Now, so I got the email, I did the search, but I didn't buy it because I did it on a mobile. I want to see the picture of it on a bigger screen, so I come home and look at it on the computer now. When I do that now, I typed in my web address that I remember, and I show up as direct now. Nothing is attributed to me because I'm not responding to email, although I saw the email. And I didn't click the banner, although I did click the Facebook ad when I saw it. But when I actually bought it, I bought direct.
Yeah,
now,
I used to buy from Paul Frederick. I'd look at the catalog. That would remind me that I needed some shirts or something.
That's exactly right.
But then I knew that when they emailed me, they would always have a deal.
Well, that's another thing. Now you're training people to looking for discounts.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, sure, you can attribute that. Now here's the thing though. The reason why I have to do it in multiple ways, and say why I wrote what I wrote, is that this one picture, one-sided thing doesn't work. So I didn't write that to, advocate all this different way of attribution or you got to hire some agents into some attribution modeling. That's not my intent at all. It's just that, can we at least be more scientific than political? I think that's the first start. And the only person who can do that is the CEO or CMO.
Yeah, that's what, so this guy becomes the VP of marketing. And,
yeah, he can do that then. Yeah.
What the great part about holdout testing is, is that, you can't really argue when you say, oh, gee, the customers we mailed, forget about influence and the customer journey.
That's right.
Just boil it down that if you take all the customers we mailed, they average spend about $25, and the ones that we didn't mail averaged about $15 or some goofball.
Well, that's
and you say, okay, it was kind of hands off. We just didn't mail them.
That's right.
Now, but the trouble is, it works great with mail where there's high engagement because you have to look at it to throw it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that when you get to email, you say, well, let's not email somebody for 2 weeks or something and see what happens to the spend.
That is very difficult.
There's not that much engagement, so you may not get any ripples out of that dropping that pebble in the lake.
And another thing is that I kind of wrote that in the article that came out today.
Oh, good.
That in a direct marketing world, it costs you so much that you have to target. It's not a choice. You're talking about more than $1 per piece. You're not going to just blast it all. You have a million names, it will cost $1 million just mail once. Now, if you build a model and better targeting tool and mail just 10 to 15% of the whole universe and get the same response, what would you just save $950,000? I mean, that's about $900,000. That's how much you save, maybe $850,000. The point is,
in 1995, I wrote that as cost per contact goes to zero, then care per contact goes to zero.
Well, that's email now.
Yeah, well, not just email, but digital ads and all kinds of stuff. It's so cheap per contact that we don't care what we put out.
Actually, that's changing.
I know it's going up like crazy.
Oh God, there's a price gouging by Google and Facebook, of course, because it works. Why does it work? Because they target. What does Facebook do? They have great mousetrap. You're talking about biggest billboard in the world. And all you have to do is to give them a sample and they'll model it and put that on each target wall. And that you cannot be more intimate than that. Of course you get a response because you're targeted. Here's a big challenge about the holdout sampling in my opinion though. It only works in outbound channels. The things that you control. I'm sending out mail. I'm sending out catalog. I'm sending out email. But the 90% of the digital is passive.
That's right.
You have a keyword setting up, wait for it. Now how are you going to attribute that? You cannot hold out. You cannot stop people from coming.
Right.
Another thing, what is the effect of multi-channel marketing truly? Because when somebody is exposed to multiple channels to make the purchase, maybe it was a Facebook. What percentage do I give Facebook credit for? Email. You send email every single day. You don't even know. You don't even know which one you responded, actually. Because you tried everything. You tried a 10% off or a free shipping, or you tried everything. You showed this picture, that picture. Because there's no way, and I've been looking at this Google UTM tag for about a year just to make sense out of all these things. If somebody clicks something and directly purchases it, that's an easy attribution. But you know it, I know it, that's not.
That's why Facebook works, because you advertise within Facebook and you can actually sell within Facebook. I mean, if you do sell within Facebook.
If you do sell, that's exactly
and
the
now
point.
Amazon has that model too, right?
But you know what Facebook does, I read it somewhere? That they take the credit for any sales happen.
Yeah, of course, and everybody's on it.
That is just, you know what? That means every channel, if you just add them up like that, you get every credit. By the way, there's a pros for that method, but let's talk about cons first. The con is that the whole thing does not add up to 100. Everybody gets the credit.
Right.
What's good about it, though, is that you can see that, okay, if all things being equal, just like we used to talk about in the economics club, with all things being equal, what could have happened if I just had a Facebook? That you can guess, right?
Right.
But what we don't know is that the actual attribution percentage, the weight of that channel, so that later on, and what decision are we trying to make here? That if I have a limited budget, should I mail? Should I email? Should I send?
Everyone has a limited budget.
That's what this is all about.
There's limits to everybody.
So if you cheat about this thing, you end up spending money in a wrong place. Now, why is that good for anybody? It's not about, like, I'm going to make this department look good. I've seen a case like this, too. I went to this, I'm not going to say names because, they're reputable.
No, yeah, you better not.
No one watches this anyway. They print business cards by massive volume. This company is so digital, it's political decision. The guys who are in charge of direct marketing only get the incremental revenue that they got after digital takes all the cake.
Sure, yeah.
Now, how do you even stay afloat? you cannot even pay for your mailing.
Well, if I'm a mailer inside of a digital marketer, I'm gonna advocate for a holdout test of my vehicle.
Of course.
Because it is outbound.
But
and that's the only way to do it. I mean, it's the only safe way.
If they honor it. What if the whole organization don't honor it? Only honor it.
I would do it without telling them. Hey, say here, this is the because I worked with Guitar Center and Musicians Friend.
My favorite. As you can see, I'm a musician. I have all these.
Yeah, for years. We did all their customer mailings for years. For 6 years. Yeah, and every year almost. I mean, so Musicians Friend was owned by Guitar Center, and I think Guitar Center felt every time somebody buys a guitar in the catalog, it's a lost sale for us, which is totally wrong. But you know what I mean?
How is that possible?
Well, because they're retailers, so they want people to come to the store, and so if people bought from the catalog, they thought it was robbing their store. And then they were owned by a venture group or an investment cartel in Dubai, I think, and those guys didn't have any mail culture whatsoever. So we did holdout tests every 6 months for 6 years, and every year we won. We always won, except for one time when ChannelView misplaced our top 3 customer segments, but we found them. I found them for them.
Yeah, well, that's the discipline that I'm talking about. I mean, I didn't write about it because it was not about testing, it was about attribution, things that are done already.
It was about politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that and also how do you, when all things are said and done, how do we divide the cake? That was what the thing was all about. But the test, I mean, that's a totally different subject. Like what is good for you type of thing. In fact, the tool sets that I helped build just now had A/B testing and the holdout sample, holdout group as just one click. It's a one click. I have a pull down, 5%, 10%. You know what? Nobody does that. You know, I said, why don't you guys do it? You know what they said? If I don't mail, that's a lost opportunity. Now, how wrong can you be? So you'd rather be wrong for an indefinite amount of time and find out the truth, then if you hold out like some few thousand people that those guys may buy something and just lose the opportunity, that's how you think, then, you know, I'm sorry to say this, but you have no mind about testing here. This is not a scientific approach. I don't want to be condescending about it.
No, I agree with you.
And I agree with you that some doctors must be really frustrated too, because you know those the patients who come to the doctor's office. You know what? I'm not going to follow any of the instructions or dietary recommendations you make. Just give me some drugs. That is a very bad patient. Unfortunately, in our business, we see plenty of bad business people, bad patients, basically. I mean, there are many examples of them, but not following the test. My God, I don't even know where to start with that. Because, you know, one of my mentors was God bless him, Lester Wunderman.
Oh my God, one of my heroes. Yeah.
He was the chairman of my startup years ago. So I had the chance to engage in one-on-one, which was like working with a rock star.
Yeah.
And one of the stories that he told us was this. Even when he was a boy, delivering all the goods to New York City apartments as a boy, he did a sort of a calculation in his head that is there a correlation between the tip amount and the number of flights that he had to climb?
Sure.
Which was true until some point. Now, if you go up 8th floor, though, now those people are not rich. Without an elevator, by the way. So the tip amount goes down at some point. Now, the moral of the story is not about who tips more. It's not about that. The story is about, even when you're delivering groceries, he tested it out.
Yeah.
He collected the evidence. He studied it. And expected what to expect. I mean, just figure out what to expect in every occasion. Now, that's marketing.
Yeah.
And of course, he's father of direct marketing because he is the one who embed all these things, features, traceable things, so they can test it.
Right. I used to have coffee with Bob Stone. I would drive down to Chicago, and then on my way home, I'd stop in Skokie and stop at his house, and we'd have coffee. And I said, "Hey, Bob, in the definition of direct marketing that you and Pete Hoke wrote, why did you say measurable? But it means you could measure but don't." I said, "Why would you say measurable instead of testing as a key component?" He said, "Oh, John, you're right." But he said, "We couldn't imagine that someone could measure and didn't, or that if they measured, they didn't test." But that's, you know, that dumb definition is everywhere, and that's why the DMA has basically gone under, in my opinion.
And well, there are many reasons, but what saddens me is this. And this happened around the time that I was doing the first startup, which was 1999 to 2000. That's when all the .com and all these things were happening.
Right.
And I found out that, I mean, by the way, our startup worked. This is a company called iBehavior. They're still around.
Yeah, I know iBehavior. Sure, I know. Big time, yeah.
And that was Lester's idea, by the way. We just made it happen. And what's interesting is that because we're old school disciplinaries, we knew exactly what to track, trace, and also we calculated everybody. We had like 100 million people in our database. We knew exactly who was over-promoted, under-promoted, and adequately promoted. And when the over-promoted flag goes up, we automatically suppress them. Automatically. We didn't even have to intervene.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Now that discipline came from good old direct marketing.
Yeah.
Now, all these other fellow digital guys, you know, this was an interesting phenomenon at the time, and it still happens. They think that they're reinventing marketing. And we all said, no, you're not.
Yeah, like we could get somebody to order a second time. Oh, what an idea.
Oh, geez. Here's the thing, though. Do I respect those channels? Yes, I do. Because I'm a digital guy when I shop. I respect that. And I love the fact that Google Analytics and Google Tags tell us so many things. All the medium, source, all the messages of where it came from, segment. We know everything. Now, the sad part is, other than opens and clicks, well, maybe some conversion counts that may not be even that accurate. What are they really counting?
Right.
They're all counting last clicks. So I'm thinking, isn't that a terrible shame with all this abundant data floating around? That's what we settled for? We did better attribution, better matchback in the days of mainframe.
That's right. In the days of paper. We used to count better. I remember one time when we didn't put the key codes on the order forms, and I took a fat magic marker, a brand new one, and went down the side, and it bled into the order forms, and we got an AB with purple and versus green, because you could see the order form like that. We did better attribution then.
Well, now we have Google Tags and we don't do that. And what is wrong with that picture?
Yeah.
So I think it's more like a commitment issue. This is why I believe
it's a commitment issue. It's a brain issue, yeah, and
it's a top-down issue too. If the CMO insists knowing these things, then it will happen. I've seen organizations like that. And for example, isn't that the first thing that we all ask? Is that okay? Fine. What is direct marketing? I believe that direct marketing is a very simple thing. One is you should really know who to contact, because you cannot contact everybody. It's a waste of opportunities. Number two, if you decided, and there are a lot of analytics about that anyway, who to target. Yeah. If you really decided I want to talk to somebody, then you got to decide in the age of digital, because it's so easy to swap out content and offers. What are you going to offer? You got to know that. And we call that personalization. Then if you did all this, and if you're really disciplined database marketer, you got to figure out what worked. Now, what worked is a really hard thing to do, because in one sentence I can say this. What means the following. Where'd you get the list? How'd you select them? By what segment? By what model group? In the treatment side, what did you send out? What channel did you use? What did you send out? What was the offer? What was the feature product? And it goes on. And I could think about more things, by the way. But the point is, bottom line is, that's what it is. Even in the 80s and 90s, we used to have, I'm not sure if you used it, because I used to help out all of the banks for credit card mailing. These guys had ironclad 18-digit source code for every single piece. Yeah. So you know where, how much I paid for it, how did I select it, what did I offer, is it a postcard on the mail or the catalog? They know everything. You can run the report by it. You can find the. In the old days it was just the response rate, but nowadays you can find out bounced, delivered, opened, clicked, browsed, how long browsed, did they convert, did they come back? You can do all these things. The entire funnel is within your grasp. Now
you got to set it up as a test first. If you don't set it up to test something, then you don't end up with anything, no matter how much you.
Of course, all these things should be A and B should be compared. Of course, because another thing that I say is that whenever you look at a lot of numbers, every number on your report is good, bad, or ugly. Okay. So if I say that you get a 1.3% open rate or 0.58% conversion rate, is that good? How would you know without comparison? 0.58, that's a small number, but in reality, if you don't blow it up, that's a real number, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing 0.18 and 0.58 is really good, but if you're doing 1.0, or even your control group does better than that, then something is horribly wrong. That good, bad, and ugly is exactly what you're talking about. How are you going to compare to what? By timeline, and I insist doing that too. Maybe except for Christmas.
Yeah, I noticed you mentioned response curves in your article. I haven't heard that term in a long time.
You have to do that, because historically, am I doing better, worse, and whatever? Again, good, bad, and ugly. And compared to the holdout sample, how much did I get better? These are how do I put it? I feel kind of bad talking about this in this fashion. That most of the thing that we're talking about is that you should do it. I rather want to talk about how you're going to do it. Let's do it.
Well, I'm gonna save that for next time. I gotta cut this short.
Sure, I gotta go too. But this is
yeah, you gotta go. I promised I'd let you go. So
that's right. So this is all very interesting. But next time maybe we should talk about how we actually implement all these things. Maybe
right.
The next step.
I don't know. I doubt if you saw. I'll send you the article how direct marketing swung the election.
Right.
And Brad Parscale actually wrote me back. He read it. And he wrote me back and he said, "You're the only one who got what we did." That's what he said. Because he did pure direct marketing. I called his office to try and get a hold of him. And I asked the receptionist, "Do you ever hear the term direct marketing around here?" She said, "Direct marketing? Direct marketing? That's all we talk about." She said, "That's our DNA." That was the receptionist. So there's still people around who know what they're doing.
Of course. Well, it goes back to Carl Rove days that he was a direct marketer. And the techniques that he used was very rudimentary. But while the other party was canvassing Ohio, they knew on a household level who's going to vote for him in Ohio. That can be done, by the way. You know all how to do that.
Yeah, well, the big breakthrough Brad did was he actually sold hats. He made a sale, not just survey data, but he made a sale. And that's what he used as his foundational data. And I think that was amazing. But anyway, I'll let you go.
Sure. And we can talk about the techniques that the Obama campaign used, and you could talk about this like ad nauseum. But for the next time, and it's all going to be interesting.
Okay,
so thank you for the
great
invitation.
Talking to you.
Yes,
yeah, it's
likewise.
really nice. Thank you for the time.
Okay.
I'll edit it down as best I can, but probably not much because I don't know how to edit very well.
Sure. When it comes up, please let me know the link.
Okay, I will. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.